Hello friends, welcome back to the session. In this session, we will discuss two things. One with the log data changes and the second one is change document. So we'll go one by one. The first one with the log data changes. Let's assume you have created one custom table or I can say the Z table based on the business requirement. Now, once we create the table, of course, we need to deploy in the production system and there end user will maintain the entries in a table. So there are many ways to maintain the entries in a table. You can directly maintain through SE11. So otherwise you can maintain by using the table maintenance generator as well. Or user can maintain the data through any program also. Let's assume you are running one program and through that program the table is getting updated. There may be multiple scenarios. Or sometimes he can create a model pool screen or the application he can develop and through that screen also he can maintain the entries in a table. But the thing is that now once he maintain the entries in a table, maybe he can able to insert the new entries in a table, he can change the existing entry also, he can delete the existing entries also. Now in that department, now the table which you have created for the specific department, now the table is being accessed by the multiple people. There is a concept called audit. So maybe the yearly, the audit going to be happen with that specific department everywhere, not with the SAP. Everywhere you can find concept called the audit options. Now in that situation, we need the history, like who inserted, who deleted, who updated. I want to know. Like for example, in your mobile case, in your mobile you do have the call history, you do have the messaging history, you do have like if you go with the email box, you do have the email history as well as when did you have like if I go with the call history, when you make a call, when did you make a call, when you have received the call, what the call which you have missed, what was the timing, everything will be tracked. That is a part of history or we can say the logs. Same way, the table which you have created, do you want to maintain the history or the log of the data which is going to be changed? Maybe suppose the XYZ person has created the entry and the some person 2 has changed the entry. Earlier it was something different and he has updated some other entry. Now suppose let's assume someone has deleted the entry. Now I want to know who has deleted. I want to know who has inserted. There will be no any logs. Now, if you want to maintain the log for the audit purpose, if you want to maintain the history of the data record, which is going to be happen or changes with your existing table. So that only possible only when if you select log data changes checkbox. There is a checkbox. If you go with the table under SA11, suppose I do have one of the table called ZZ01 underscore customer. If I go with the change, now if I want to maintain the history of the data record of this table, now in this table, like whoever may be creating a new entry, whoever may be changing the entry or whoever may be deleting the entry. In any case, I want to maintain the history. Who has created? If it is deleted, who has deleted? If it is updated, who has updated? What was the date? What was the timing? Through which program he has deleted or inserted? Through which transaction he has deleted, inserted? That I want to track. That is a part of history or itself we can call as a log. It is only possible under the technical setting if you select this checkbox. Can you see this? The buffering type, under that you can find the checkbox called log data changes. Now what if I select this checkbox and where I can find the changes like inserting, deleting, update, where I can see those logs. Now once we save this checkbox or once we select the checkbox called log data changes, all the changes to the data record of the table will be recorded in a standard table called db tab log. So this is a standard table provided by the SAP. In this table, the history will be recorded. The logs will be maintained. The date on which the log has been created, the time on which the log has been created, for which table you have done the changes, the host name, nothing but the IP address of the system, the username, through which T code, through which program he has done the changes, and what was the log data, like what entry he has created. That every information will be recorded in this table. The table is itself a log report of table changes. So this is a part of log data changes. Now suppose that for the table for which I have maintained the log data changes checkbox, and you think that like suppose if I insert any entry, change any entry, delete any entry. Of course, it will create in a history table, nothing but the log table called db.log. Now, in this case, if I do any changes, does the log is going to be created in my table? Of course, yes. Before that, we do have some prerequisite. What? So there is a parameter profile called rec/client. So there is a parameter. So before that, the definition is, so there is a checkbox. The checkbox, the changes to the data record of the table fields are to be recorded or not. Means the changes which you are going to do with your table entries. Do you want those changes to be logged, or do you want those history to be noted? If yes, then you need to select the checkbox. So this checkbox would define the changes to the data record of the table will be recorded in standard table called db tab log. The table is itself for the log data changes for your table. So for that, you must select the checkbox. Changes means what? It can be insert, it can be delete, it can be update, so on. That is a part of changes. Like if you are inserted, it will be marked as I, updated, U, deleted, D, something like. Now, suppose the change log data changes checkbox which I have selected for my table. Does it mean now whatever the changes I'm going to do will be recorded in DB tab log? Yes, but before that there is a prerequisite. So make sure the parameter profile called rec/client is maintained. Now you can ask me where we can maintain and who is going to maintain this one. Actually, this is a job of basis. Now it's a client. It doesn't mean that whenever we create the table, we must select that log data changes checkbox. No. If selecting the log data changes, again you are creating you are filling another table entries in parallel. So that makes a performance issue. It doesn't mean that for every table we are going to enable the log data changes checkbox. Only those tables which required, and only after we received a specific intimation from the user department or the business user who has given you the requirement. And whenever we do the log data changes as a checkbox, of course the entry will be created. But before that, we need to make sure that this parameter profile should be maintained. So by default, it will be off. By default, rec_client, the value will be off. By default, value is off. Means whatever the changes you are going to do, the data record of the table will not be recorded. Now, what if I want to record it? In that situation, you can set the value. There are two options. Either you can set it as all, but it is very harmful. You should not go with the all. It means, see, in every system, it doesn't mean that you do have a single client. You know, the data always will be the client specific, as we discussed already as a client number. In SAP, all the data should be client specific. So whenever we process the data should be stored under a respective client or the specific client with full of security. It doesn't mean that every system will be having the single client. Sometimes some system contains the multiple client also. Now, what do you think? The table is never be a client specific. It is available in all client. All objects are not a client specific in SAP. It will be visible to all client, but the data which you are storing within the table, that is client specific. So it means in your production system, you do have two clients. It means the table is commonly visible in both the client, but data within that is a client specific. Now the log data changes which you have activated, do you think like the data which you are processing through both the client should be create a history or should be log in a table? If yes, then select the all option. Now you're saying that no, I want to log the entry for a specific client only, not for all clients. Suppose you consider I do have 5 clients in the production system. Among those 5, I want to use the data only for 2 tables. I want to save the history of only 2 clients, not for other 3 clients. In that situation, you need to specify the client number. Suppose you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 clients in production system. Only for one client number 1 and the client number 2. Always it will be 3 digits. So it will be something like 001, or let's consider 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. These are my client. So I want to store with 100 and the 200. Specify in this way 100 comma 200. Don't consider something like 100 comma space 200. No, it should be 100 comma 200. Like what are all the specific clients data you want to be stored in a DB tab log, then only you can specify those client. And where I can maintain. So for this, the transaction code is RZ10. Actually, this job will be maintained by the basis. It has nothing to do with you as a bapper, but you must know RZ10. In that extended maintenance, we need to maintain this REC slash client profile. So if you look at my system, actually this is a demo system or the dummy system. Mostly I don't have the access, but still let's check with this RZ10. Now I'm not sure what is my profile. If I actually DPK is my client. So if I look at this DPK, and here we need to maintain the REC slash client profile under the extended maintenance. If you go with the change option, see here there is an internal error, means it's not possible or it has not been maintained. There is a maybe different reason. Maybe if I check with some other profile, if I go with the default one, extended check, again there is an error. Not available. It has not been created, might be. So if you're not maintaining this REC slash client profile, then even though by selecting that checkbox, it was not going to help you out. So if you want that log should be maintained, history should be created, then this REC profile should be maintained. Now that maintenance will be done by the basis. But still, if you want to see, then the transaction code called RZ11. There you can find the profile setting. That is a view mode, display mode, display mode. So what is my client? REC slash client. Click on display option. Can you see the value? The kernel, standard, instant, and the current value. So go with the current value, that is off. What it should be? Either it should be ALL, nothing but the all, or it should be the client number. Specific client. You are working for the specific client, like as I discussed, production system having the 5 clients, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. So I want to use only 2 clients, like 100 and 200 for the audit purpose. Then you can specify the client number followed by comma, 100, comma 200, something like this. If you select all in the production system, what are all the clients you do have, it will log the for all client data. So this is the meaning of log data changes. And if you want to see the profile settings, the parameter profile is RZ11 also. This is view mode, or I can say display mode. Here we are going to maintain the extended maintenance. See, once after maintaining the checkbox, still the log is not being created, then you can ask the user to check this setting, extended maintenance. Actually, this is going to be maintained by the basis. The profile is going to be created by basis, maintained by the basis. You can check with the basis consultant. And the logs where you can see in the table called DB tab log, or the logs will be seen by using the SCU3. This is a T code to display the logs, or I can say history. Now you think that who else go to the S11 who can check it? It's a lengthy job. You can just run this T code. There you can see the logs. This is what the log data changes. Now, I don't want to maintain the logs for all the fields. I want to maintain the log for a specific field. For example, in my table, if I go to the table called SE11, so in this table, I don't want to maintain the log for all the fields. Instead, I want to maintain the log called only country. I want to maintain the log for this country. Means, suppose someone has deleted, suppose someone has created, suppose someone has updated. I want to know. Or suppose someone has updated, in that situation, what was the previous value or the old value which has been replaced with the new value. I want to know this information. In that situation, we need to work with the change document. Even the change document is also a part of logging change document. But this change document will be work for a field specific. Field specific. Now, log data changes, it will work for all the table fields. All the table fields. But suppose I don't want to record all the table fields data because as I told you that of course it's going to create entry in a table, it's a part of performance issue. But instead of that, what I wanted to do is a specific field. A particular field is very important for me. I want to track the changes of that field. In that situation, you can go with the change document. And where I can find that change document? The log data changes can be seen under the technical setting, whereas the change document can be found if I double click under the domain. Sorry, under the data element. So double click on this data element. The change document can find under the data element. So double click on this data element. So we supposed to maintain the data type. So under this further characteristics, you do have the change document. By selecting this change document, what will happen in future in this table, the field is specific to the country I'm talking about. Like who else is going to create a entry? It can be new. Someone is going to change also. Someone is going to delete also. Everything will be again log. It will create a log or I can say history. But that history is specific to this field only. Now what will happen if I select this change document? Again the history will be created. Again the log will be created only specific to this field only. Only specific to this field only. The changes to this field will be recorded, but here it will not record in a DB tab log. Instead, so with this, user can record the log of individual fields. Field changes. It can be insert, delete, or update. It can be anything. Now you can ask me where I can see this information. So there are two tables. CDHDR. The logs will be recorded in two tables, CDHDR. This is a header table for log and CDPOS. This is the item table. Already we know what is the meaning of header or item, right? In SAP, the data will be stored in three layers: master, header, and the item, right? So if you go with the log data changes, the changes will be recorded in DB tab log. And if you go with the change document, the changes will be recorded in a table wise. The header information will be stored in a CDHDR and the item information will be stored in CDPOS. Now you can ask me, now whatever the log data changes or the change document which we are discussing, is it applicable only to the custom table or is the same to be the standard? Of course, it is a common for all. In we are talking about table, it can be standard or the custom also. But in standard table case, it means the tables which has been provided by the SAP, for those tables, these settings are predefined. It is not possible for us to change it. If it is required, already as SAP enable those two options wherever it is required. But the change document and the log data changes, we need to work on the custom table based on the user requirement, right? Now, change document is for field specific. I want to track the changes of a particular field in a table. In that situation, you are going to create It doesn't mean that only one field. Suppose sometimes you want to go with the group of field. Like I'm looking for only country. If you want, you can go with another field also. It's up to you. So the changes to the data record of the table, a particular field in a table will be recorded in a table called CDHDR and the CDPOS. Now you can ask me like by selecting this, does it mean if I want the changes which I'm going to do with this, it is going to be recorded? Of course, no. Again, we need to maintain one object. Now, for example, as I discussed, every changes will be recorded in a table called CDHDR. So you can go with S11. Table is CDHDR. Change document. And this table is common for all the table in SAP. It doesn't mean that only for your table the changes will be logged in this table. Actually, this table is given by the SAP. Any standard application. Now, usually in standard database table case, we never process the data manually. Of course, the table will be filled with by processing the data through application. In standard table, the data will be processed through application only. For example, if I create the material, if I create any material, let's assume to create the material, the transaction code is MM01. So I'm creating the material something like 49. Okay, Z11249. Under the industrial sector, mechanical engineering, material type, raw material. Okay, enter. I'm selecting the basic data 1, basic data 2 as a view, and after that I'm filling the material description as somewhat MNGL gas sheet, then kg, material group, gross weight, net weight, weight unit. Then save. Then save. The data from these three screens will be transferred to database. Now, if you want to see the log, now actually the entry will be created in table level. So the table for the Mara master data is, sorry, table for the material master data is Mara. Now if I click on execute, the material which I have created is Z11249 something. Okay, this is the table which I have created. But you don't find the description in this table. So the description will be available in another table called MAKT. It's not working. Not sure. Application is not working. So MAKT, if I go with this MAKT, the description will be stored in this table. Okay, description. Now suppose I'm talking about this change document. For the standard table case, change document is available. Now if I go with this MAKT description under further characteristics, for this the change document is enabled. Now it means whatever the insert, update, delete you are going to do, that will be recorded. Now if you want to see, go to CDHDR. There you can see. So I'm creating another session. Go to CDHDR, CDHDR, table content. So otherwise you can go with the user, how to filter the data now. Either you can go with the username wise, date wise, time wise. So I will go with the date wise. So something like 22. If I click on execute, see, this is the object name. This is the material which I have created, the key field, object value. This is the document number which has created a reference, username, date, time, through which application he has created. And this is something like update. Now I want to know actually which value he had changed. Now what you need to do, you need to pick this object number, go to the table called CDPOS. Item information will be stored in a table called CDPOS, CDPOS. Table content. So here I'm passing the object number, execute. Can you see this material number? 800 Z11249. So it is, can you see the change indicator? It's I, it means it is created. Now if you want to see the old value, here you can see the new value and the old value. Okay, and that will comes after updating. Now what I can do, I will run the same mm02 transaction. Mm01 is for creating, so I will run it for the change. Same material I'm updating. Earlier it was something different, now I'm changing to something different. This is something like MNGL gas sheet. Now this time I'm going to the flat gasket. I'm updating. I'm just updating the existing entry. Now what you can do, first go to CD pos, go to CD pos. Now see here it has created another entry. Can you see earlier it was mm01, now it has updated with mm02, same material. Now what you can do, every time it will create a unique document number as a reference. Pick this document number, go to CD pos and pass this document number. Can you see this one? What was the old value and what value it has replaced? And what is the change indicator? This is the object which has created, and based on this object only it is going to update the entries. Now you can ask me, now what if the table which I have created, and for that table if I change or create the new entry in this table, does it mean it going to be also recorded? Of course yes, but not directly. First you need to create the object for this field. The object is this one. Can you see this is a standard name? This has been created by the system. For this, all the standard application for the standard table, these are the default change document is available. But in your case, you need to create the change document. Now you can ask me how to create. So for that, SAP has provided the transaction code called SEDO to create your own change object, change document object. Go to this. Now, which I'm talking about the material for the MM01, the change document is already available. This is what. But in your case, you need to create. How to create? Just click on create option. So change document you are going to create. You can create with any name. So I'm creating ZZ01 underscore CUS underscore CNTRY country. I want to change the log for only country. Select continue option. So sometimes you'll get the message change document so and so is not in your namespace. Do you want to create? Of course, yes. Same. Do you still want to insert the object? Yes. Of course, once after creating, if you want to transport it to the next server, you must save the object in a package. But here I don't want to transport, go with the local object. And here you need to provide the description. So this change document is for country. And the table is ZZ01 underscore customer. Okay. Now here actually we need to specify the table name. Actually this was the description, but here you need to specify the table for which table you want to track the changes. Now only after inserting you want to track the changes, or only after deleting you want to track the changes, or in all scenario. So here the respective document for single field insert, I want to create the log for single entry also, insert also, I want to create the log for delete scenario also, I want to create the log for the copy or update case also. Okay, that's it. Just click on new entry insert. So this is what. Your job is done. Now click on save. Now as soon as you create this one, in the background, system will create the function model. And that function model will be the part of update function model. As soon as you create this information, in the background, system will create a update function model which will be triggered during the updates scenario. There is a concept called LUW. That concept stands for how the data is getting transported, means passed through the application, and finally when you click on save, how the data is getting transferred to your database. That concept is called LUW. And in that situation, the two function model, two keywords is going to be created: trigger, commit work, and the rollback. And that is a part of update scenario. So here also it's going to create the update function model. So update function model is a part of or the type of function model. Now, if you look at general information, generation information, okay, so I'm generating this one. So once you click on generate, I have clicked on generate option. So you need to propose the function group name. It means, as I told you, that function model is going to be created. And for that function model, we need the function group. Without function group, it is not possible to create the function model. So I'm proposing the function group name. You can propose any name. It can be same name also. And prefix I'm providing, as you know, in the SAP, whatever the object you are creating must be start with Z or Y. So I'm providing the prefix as Z. Anything, Z or Y, anything is fine. Just click on generate option. So the function model is generated and click on activate lastly. So function model, function group, it is a separate topic. We do have the separate session for that. So can you see at the bottom? So this is a function model generated by the system. This is a function model generated by the system. And this is a structure is going to be generated by the system. These two things are going to be generated by the system background. Now, whenever I do insert, delete or update the entries in my table, even though in that case, if you want to generate the logs in the cdpos and the cdhdr, then you need to call this function model explicitly. Even though that material case, there is a function model. Even that function model has been called somewhere else. Okay. Now I will show you how that change document, the logs will be created. Now what I can do is, already I have created one screen, model pull screen, to maintain the entries in a table through that screen. Now, if you want to see that screen, so this is the screen. Okay. So whenever through the screen, if I create the entries in a table, so in that CDHDR and the CDPOS also, it should create the entries. But before that, here if you look at, I have already maintained some code. This one I have already created. This is a part of model pull. So whenever user click on save, first of what I will do, I will check either the entries already exist with the same combination or not. If not, then I will consider as update scenario. If not, if the entry does not exist, I will consider as an insert scenario. Then I'm maintaining some logic, and thereafter I'm going to call this function model, this one. Okay, so what is the object name? Actually, this is the object name. So the logs will be created against this object name. So here you'll get to know which decode, through which decode you have created the object. Here you'll get to know the time. So this is a system variable for the returning the time. So this is a system variable for the date. So if you want to know about more about the system variable, again we do have the different session. Just I want to show you how that change document will work and how the entry will be get saved. And thereafter, I'm passing this dummy internal table over here, and I'm noting down the change value and the updated value. So here I'm going to enable this object key indicator, this one and this one. Activate. Country. Okay, nothing to worry. What I have done, I have created this simple program. So through the screen, whenever user create the entry, however that entry will be created in Z table, also it will maintain a log in your CGHDR and the CDPOS. So this is the update function model which is created by that object through SEDO which I have created, and you must create that one. Then only it will create, otherwise no. And this structure I'm using here. I will show you what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to click on activate. Now again I will place the breakpoint over here and I will run the transaction. Okay, I have created this screen to create a new entry in a table, and that entry will be created in a table called this one. Now currently how many entries are there? Around 1008. I'm going to create the new entry 1009. Somewhat John, the city somewhat Munich, then postal code, street, then country, DE, gender, and there we don't have the other. Just I'm going to click on save. So as soon as I click on save, so that breakpoint will be triggered in my case. And here what we are going to do, I'm just maintain the logic. During the save case, I'm just cross checking in my table. Does the combination which I have provided in a screen field, does that combination is already exist in the database or not? Actually, this entry I'm trying to create. This one, 1009 I'm trying to create. First, I will check, does that entry already available in the table or not? Of course, that entry is not available. Sapabap is 4. In that situation, I will consider as a new value I'm inserting. I indicator stands for I. You update likewise. Then I'm filling one work area. I'm filling one work area. And that data I'm collecting in one internal table. Old value and the new value I want to segregate. Old value and the new value I want to segregate. And thereafter, I'm inserting the entries in a table. The data which you do have in a screen field, this is the data from your screen field. These are the data from your screen field. That data I'm inserting in a table. If Sapabap is equals to 0, you'll get the message data record created. And then I'm calling this function model. Through this function model, I'm creating the entries in a CDHDR and the CDPOS. That's it. Now you can see in this Z table, you can find the new entry 1009. The same entry you can find in the CDHDR and the CDPOS. Now in the CDHDR and the CDPOS, see, can you see? This is the object which I have created. And this is the document number. Can you see? The document number. And thereafter username, date, time, and through which transaction I have created the entry and what was the status. I have created the new entry. And you can pick this document. Now go to the CDPOS. There you will get to know. See? It should be I, but it's considering as a J. That J is again a part of create only. Can you see? J is again part of inserted single field. Okay, now what I can do, this is a new value. What I can do, I will update the value. I will update the value. Now what I can do, I'm rerunning the same transaction. Now 1009, John, I will change the city to somewhat Delhi, postal code, then street, then country, I'm changing it to India, then save. Now during this scenario, the code which I have managed, what I have done over there, I'm just checking before I proceed further. I'm just checking this entry already exists in a table or not. Of course, these entries exist. Then in that situation, I'm considering as a update scenario. I'm updating the data. Now what I'm going to do, I'm considering the old data in one table. I'm considering the like new data in another table. See, old data is what? DE, country as a DE. I have created similar internal table as a new in that this is a new entry because that ZD which contains both the value old and the new, and that old and a new I'm going to update through this two different function model. And however, the data is being updated in your table, and by calling this function model, we are updating the entries in CD and the CD HDR. The data record saved. Now you can first go to the table. This is the table. Daily everything has been updated. Now you can go to CD HDR first. This is CD This is the CD HDR. Can you see the new entry has been created? This time it is U. Earlier it was new entry inserted, now it is update. Now you pick this document number, each time it will create the new entry and comes to this CD pause. There you will get to know what was the old value and what was the new value. Actually, I have passed this wrong. This function model has been called wrong way. I'll show you. Here it should be the new value. And here it should be the old one. Then it will work correctly. Now currently what is happening in the CD pause, new value coming it as a D and old value coming it as a in. Actually this is to be switched likewise. Now what I can do, I will rerun and this time I will update with some other data. 1009 John, city somewhat I can say New York, postal code, then street, I can say Times Square, country I will take this time as a US, A, gender, same. Again I'm going to click on save option and F8. Now you can see the table entry has might be changed in your table. See, here it has been changed. That's fine. I will come to the CDHDR, click on refresh. See, this is a new entry has been created 29 and that is the update. And same I will go to the CDPOS. This is CD pause. Okay. There I will enter the 29. The new document has been created as 29. See, new value is USA, old value is India. So this is how your change document and the log data changes will work. Thank you for the day. Thank you for the session.